Hello, and welcome to another episode of Pampering Myself podcast. Welcome, and what a beautiful May day. To all my returning guests, thank you as always. And if this is your first time, hopefully you'll hear something that will inspire you to subscribe. Welcome to this episode of Timeless Living. In this episode, we'll explore the secrets of aging gracefully and living a vibrant, youthful life at any age. Aging is a natural part of life, but what if we could unlock the secrets to slowing down the clock? And what if we could maintain our health, vitality, and youthful appearance for years longer? In today's episode, we'll uncover cutting-edge research, expert insights, and practical tips to help us do just that. I came across an article in Times 2021 special edition on the science of living longer that I thought was pretty interesting. The article referenced various parts of our body that begin to falter at a certain age. And if you are of a certain age as I am, you'll want to tune in. So grab a pen and paper and get ready to transform your approach to aging, because it's never too early or too late. We're not just adding years to our lives, but life to our years. When you think about life and how our bodies operate, it's truly a miracle how our systems work. Even more so, how science has figured out how to treat illness and ways to keep us healthy. So let's start with the word collagen. Now, I was surprised to not only learn about collagen, but how important it is to our body. The research shows that as young as 18 years old, the stretchy elastin starts to decline at the rate of 1% per year. Now, collagen is a fiber-like structure used to make connective tissues, and according to my research, is a major component of bone, skin, muscles, tendon, and cartilage. Collagen is important because it helps to make tissue stronger and resilient, making your skin withstand stretching. Not only do we lose collagen because of aging, study shows there's also a decline in collagen because of excessive sun exposure, smoking, excessive alcohol, and a lack of sleep and exercise. Now, I'm just guessing. If you've ever seen someone whose skin looks like it's extremely wrinkled or sagging, it's because they lack collagen. And from my observation, it's usually Caucasian women who are most affected, mainly because they either sunbath or use tanning booths. Let's move on to those lungs. According to the American Lung Association, our lungs mature by the time we are about 20 to 25 years old. And around 35, it's normal for our lung function to gradually decline, which can make breathing difficult. So staying active, avoiding tobacco, smoke, and staying up to date on your vaccinations are just a few ways you can protect and even strengthen your lungs. May I also suggest for those of you who are grilling this holiday weekend, you mask up. The research shows you should avoid smoke from grilling and certain foods because certain meats cooked at a high temperature on a grill are known, to be carcinogenic. So I did a little more research on this topic and found the meats most likely to be carcinogenic which means they could have potential cancer cells in them, are red meats like beef, lamb, and pork, which has a lot to do with the curing and the processing of the meat. But what I also found interesting is any meat can be carcinogenic if it's cooked using high temperature methods like frying, even pan frying, which includes fish and poultry. So basically, what they're saying is there's no meat that is really safe that you apply high temperature heats to that does not have some ounce of carcinogenic cells or what do they call them? Chemicals in them. It's just amazing to me then when we wonder why there is so much cancer and so much illness. And we'll get into other areas of the body which will show that really house all of this. So we're going to move on to bones. All of these are parts of the body that this article that was referencing that falter at a certain age. Some as young as 18, as we've seen so far, and some throughout our life. So let's talk about the bones. Have you ever thought about bone health? According to the National Institute of Arthritis and Musculoskeletal and Skin Disease, that was a mouthful. Bones support your body and allow you to move. They protect your brain, your heart, and other organs from injury. Bone is living, growing tissue made mostly of two materials. And here's that word again, collagen. A protein that provides a soft framework, and calcium, a mineral that adds strength and hardness. And this combination makes bones strong and flexible enough to hold up under stress. However, bone mass tends to decline at a rate of 1% per year after 35, and even faster after menopause. And according to a study in 2015, simply jumping 20 times twice a day will improve hip bone density. Loss of bone mass is what mainly contributes to seniors falling. So you might want to consider weight-bearing exercise to minimize your risk. Here at 35 years old, a lot of us think when we're in our teens, our early 20s, our 30s, that we don't have anything to worry about. Well, the research shows that as early again as 18. In the article, they said something like, we don't wake up at 75 or 80 years old and all of a sudden we're old. Old starts happening, and I hate to use the word old. Let me rephrase that. The aging process starts happening as early as 18 years old. And when you think about our bodies and how long we hope to live in them, we have to take care of them. Because if we don't, then they will falter. And there's a normal process of faltering, and then there's a self-inflicted. And so the self-inflicted part is what I'm hoping to get across. And the prevention part is what I'm also hoping to get you to understand, that there are ways to slow the aging process down. So let's talk about now the eyes. If you were fortunate enough to have perfect vision as a child and a young adult, good for you, because I was one of those. And apparently, I was also right on schedule according to the research, because I noticed a decline in my vision around 40, which required me to use readers. However, The best way to assure your eyes stay healthy, according to the National Institute, is to get a dilated eye exam, even if your eyes feel healthy, because the only way to check for many eye disease is through a dilated eye exam. And of course, the best way to prevent eye disease is to what? Not smoke, to wear sunglasses to keep out those UV rays, to eat healthy meats, and to increase your physical activity. Now, a lot of these things will tell us the ways of preventing things are the things that we already know. We just got to implement them, and they're for a reason. And a lot of times we just don't think about it. We just go about our day-to-day life and until something happens. Now let's talk about muscle. All of us lose muscle and gain fat, according to the scientific director of the National Institute of Aging. Yes, something else to look forward to in our 40s, but it doesn't have to be that way. Incorporating exercise and physical activities is a sure way to avoid muscle decline. It's important as we age to maintain muscle strength because it helps us balance, and most importantly, it helps prevent falls. This is why we see an increase in the number of falls among seniors, because their muscles have weakened. So it's recommended by the National Institute on Aging that you do strength exercise for all major groups at least 2 days per week, alternating muscles. Now, I have a confession to make. I was pulling up some weeds around the tree out in front of my house, and that's something I do a couple of times a year, particularly in the spring. But I hadn't done it since last year. It probably took me maybe about 45 minutes to an hour to go around the entire house, bending over, pulling weeds. Now, of course, I didn't have a problem that day, but I did the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that, and the day after that. Why? Because I had not been using those muscles. So this was a eye-opener for me as well, because if you don't use them, you will lose them. And then when you try to, let's say, recall that muscle to do something it is not accustomed to doing, you can injure yourself, strain the muscle, and you can be in pain like I was for about 4 days. Okay, next stop, the kidneys. So far, according to the research, each of the previously mentioned concerns were something that you felt. You had some indication that there was a decline or a problem. However, with the kidneys, you won't necessarily feel if anything is wrong. So it's suggested the best thing to do is prevention. Drink plenty of water. One study found that people who drank more fluids were less prone to have issues with their kidneys. Also, if you take a lot of medications, over time the medications may affect your kidneys. But the good news is that if there is a problem with your kidneys, it will show up in a urine test. And by the way, the decline in kidney function starts around 50. So it's so important to drink that water. And I remember, in my younger days, I was not a fan of water. I'm still not a fan of water. I drink it mainly because of the importance, knowing how important it is to your overall health, your body internally. So that's why I drink it. But in my younger days, I would go days without drinking water and then wonder why I didn't feel good, or wonder why I was constipated. Um, so I'm just saying, if you don't like water, find a way to drink it anyway. And I just found the way I have to have. I can drink water room temperature, or I can drink it cold. I think there is some method to this that says warm water is better for you internally than cold water. So you might just want to consider it either way. At least get that water in. So we're going to move on to my favorite, the gut. According to Healthline, our gut is responsible for putting our body into working order. As it breaks down the foods we eat, our gut absorbs nutrients that support our body's function, for energy production or from energy production to hormone balance, skin health to mental health, and even toxins and waste elimination. In fact, about 70% of the immune system is housed in the gut. So, making sure our digestive system is in tip top shape can be key to addressing many of our bodily woes. That is so true. Again, that goes to the foods we eat, the liquids that we put in our body. Everything goes through the digestive system down into the gut and is processed. It can be held up there. It can be a negative impact, or it could be a positive experience. Whichever one you choose, you have control of it. So I'm going to give you 10 tips to improve your gut health according to Piedmont Health. Number one is to exercise. Physical activity gets your colon moving, which leads to a more regular bowel movement. That is so important because you can only imagine if that fecal matter just stays there, what it can do. Number two, eat a healthy diet. Consume mostly fresh, unprocessed foods because processed foods turn into sugar, which can have a negative impact on your digestive system. Number three, eat smaller, more frequent meals to avoid overwhelming the gut. I don't like the feeling of full, but it makes a lot of sense that if you eat a lot of food in one sitting, then the gut has to really work harder to digest, and that may be a problem. So you want to, the research is saying eat smaller meals, even if it has to be more frequent to allow time for digestion and the gut doesn't have to work so hard. Number four, chew your food thoroughly. It can ease the digestion problems. Man, I've seen some people eat. It seemed like, did you chew that? So you want to make sure you chew your food thoroughly before you swallow it. Number five, manage your stress level. Too much stress can impact your gut health. They're suggesting yoga, meditation therapy, or even journaling have been shown to reduce stress and anxiety. Number six, take or eat probiotics. I do the probiotics. Probiotics increase the amount of good bacteria in your gut. You can also eat yogurt, kefir, or fresh sauerkraut, and supplements are all good sources of probiotics as well. Number seven, eat more fiber. This is my problem. Aim for 25 grams each day. Okay, so if my food does not contain enough fiber, perhaps there are supplements, FiberCon, the kind that are powdery that you just put in your water or sprinkle over your food. Those are easy supplements to take. Number eight, we already talked about, drink plenty of water. 8 ounce glasses is a good place to start. So there's a debate on how much water you should consume. I'll leave that up to you, but I think the minimum should be 8. Some drink more, some drink less. Number 9, limit alcohol and caffeine. Both are digestive stimulants and can disrupt the digestive process. And number 10, always talk to your doctor. If you experience frequent diarrhea or constipation, you should consult a physician. You may have irritable bowel syndrome, which affects, they say, 10 to 15% of the population. So the bottom line is to trust your gut instincts. What's happening in your gut is directly affecting your health. Now, let's move on to the heart. It's reported the heart muscle cells shrink in number but expand in size, which makes your heart wall thicker and your arteries tend to get stiffer. Around 20 to 30 years in age, it peaks aerobic capacity and it drops off about 10% per decade. And heart disease typically kicks in around 65. But there's ways to prevent or slow the progression of heart disease down. And I will give you 7 tips. Some of them will be repeats of what it does, what has been previously stated. Number 1, eat healthy. Number 2, get active. Number 3, stay at a healthy weight. Number 4, quit smoking and stay away from secondhand smoke. Number 5, control your cholesterol and blood pressure. Both of those can be done by movement and eating. Number 6, drink alcohol only in moderation. And number 7, manage your stress. The American Heart Association estimates up to 90% of cardiovascular diseases may be preventable with education and action. So there you have it. Now here's a body part that I never even considered. Unless you've ever had an ear infection, why would you? And I've had one, so I can only imagine how traumatic that must be. But there's parts of our body we never think about, and ears are one. But every single part is important, and you'll know just how important it is when it doesn't operate the way it was designed. So according to the research, age-induced hearing loss happens gradually, with 1 in 3 people between the ages of 65 and 74. The bad news is there's not much you can do to slow down the progress, but there are things that will hasten the process. Listening to loud music, working in noisy industries like construction zones or plants. I recall wearing earbuds at work for hours every day when I began to notice my hearing was declining in that one ear. So I took a hearing test, and for sure there was a difference in one ear and the other. So I stopped. Now, I didn't have another test, but I could sure tell the difference over time that my hearing had restored itself. I don't know if it was restored back to normal, but it did improve. So be conscious of those earbuds that people like to wear in their ears, even the headsets. They may be convenient, but they are harmful over time. And finally, the brain. Well, our last body part. George Rebuck, a cognitive age researcher at Johns Hopkins, stated under normal circumstances, you don't lose your mind all at once. But by 70, you begin to notice age-related changes speeding up. The best thing you can do for brain health is to stick with activities that engage and stimulate your mind. Puzzles, crossword puzzles, puzzles you have to put together. Reading is another one. Playing board games, anything that can force you to think or to look. So I found the article to be very interesting. And what I noticed as a running theme in the article are the things that we already know that are bad for us, and the things that we already know we should be doing. The sake of healthy living. I'm guessing in my 20s, I didn't want to hear this. Youth was on my side. But I want to thank you for joining me in this episode of Timeless Living. I hope you found my exploration into the secrets of aging more slowly, both enlightening and inspiring. Remember, aging gradually isn't about defying time, but embracing a lifestyle that supports health, vitality, and well being in every stage of life. And by incorporating the insights and the tips shared by our experts, focusing on nutrition, exercise, mental wellness, and advanced skincare, you can take proactive steps toward a more youthful, energetic you. Stay committed to your journey and don't forget to celebrate the small victories along the way. Someone once said, aging is not lost youth, but a new stage of opportunity and strength. Only 20% of our longevity is genetically determined. The rest is what we do, how we live our lives, and increasingly the molecules that we take. Until next time, don't forget to pamper yourself. And I hope you all have a safe and blessed Memorial Day weekend. Goodbye.